This ending shocked everyone. The night was darker than usual in Brooklyn. Street lights flickered above cracked sidewalks, and the rumble of the subway echoed like a restless ghost beneath the city. On the corner of Fifth Avenue, inside a small bodega that smelled of stale coffee and bleach, Daniel Rivera leaned against the counter, staring at the ticking clock. He was 26, an immigrant from Puerto Rico, and a dreamer who had come to New York believing the streets were paved with gold. Instead, he found debt, double shifts, and loneliness that wrapped itself around him like a heavy coat. His mother, who had raised him single-handedly, still lived back in San Juan. She believed Daniel was thriving. Every phone call he lied, telling her, "Mommy, everything's fine. I'm saving for a business. I'll bring you here soon." But in reality, Daniel was barely surviving working at the bodega by day and driving Uber at night. The stranger. That evening, just before midnight, a man walked in. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a worn-out hoodie. His eyes carried the exhaustion of someone who hadn't slept in days. He dropped a crumpled $5 bill on the counter and asked for cigarettes. Daniel noticed the trembling hands. The man's voice cracked, as though he was carrying an unbearable weight. "You okay, man?" Daniel asked casually, sliding the pack across. The man hesitated, then muttered, "Does it matter?" before storming out. Something about him lingered in Daniel's chest. A sense of déjà vu, like he had seen that pain before, reflected in his own mirror. The robbery. 2 nights later, the same man returned. But this time, his hood was up, and in his shaking hand was a pistol. "Empty the register," he growled. Daniel froze. He had seen robberies in movies, but this wasn't Hollywood. This was real. The fear of dying in a corner store, alone, made his throat tighten. "Please," Daniel whispered, "don't do this. I'll give you the money." The man's hands quivered harder. His eyes glistened with tears. "I don't want to hurt you, man. I don't have a choice." Daniel looked into his eyes and suddenly recognized him, not his face, but his struggle. Poverty. Desperation. That invisible hunger that eats men alive in America, especially those who were promised the dream but handed the nightmare. "You've got a choice," Daniel said softly. "Put it down. We'll figure it out." But before the man could answer, the door burst open. The cop, a police officer, young and overzealous, barged in, gun already drawn. "Drop the weapon!" the cop screamed. The man panicked, pointing his pistol toward Daniel as if shielding himself. Daniel's heart raced. He was caught between 2 guns. "Wait!" Daniel shouted, raising his hands. "Nobody shoot!" But the cop's finger twitched. A single deafening shot tore through the store. The man collapsed. The pistol clattered across the floor. Blood pooled on the tile, mixing with crushed potato chips. Daniel dropped to his knees beside him. The stranger's lips trembled as he tried to speak. "Tell my daughter. I'm sorry." And then, silence. Aftermath. The cop, breathing hard, radioed it in like a hero. Backup stormed the store. Sirens screamed outside. Daniel sat numb, staring at the lifeless man who, minutes ago, was just another broken soul trying to survive. The police treated Daniel like collateral, questioned him for hours, filed a report, and sent him home. But the words "tell my daughter I'm sorry" burned into his mind. The daughter. Days later, curiosity or maybe guilt led Daniel to dig deeper. He searched obituaries, scanned local news, and finally found it. Marcus Hale, 34. Local construction worker. Survived by his daughter, Emily, age 8. An address was listed for the funeral. Daniel went. He stood at the back of the crowded church, head bowed, watching as a little girl with curly hair clutched a folded flag in her tiny hands. That was Emily. That was the daughter Marcus had died whispering about. Daniel felt a stab of guilt, as though he had pulled the trigger. He left before anyone noticed him. But he couldn't let it go. Redemption. Weeks turned into months. Daniel secretly began leaving groceries at Emily's doorstep. Then school supplies. Then winter coats. Always anonymous, always in silence. It wasn't money from wealth. Daniel was still poor, still grinding, but it was money carved from his own survival. Something inside him felt it was owed. Every time he dropped off a package, he whispered, "Your dad was sorry. He loved you." Emily never knew who was helping. But slowly, her life steadied. The twist. One rainy evening, almost a year later, Daniel was driving Uber when his passenger slid into the back seat. A teenage boy, maybe 17. Angry eyes, clenched fists. Halfway through the ride, Daniel noticed the boy fiddling with something in his hoodie pocket. A pistol. Daniel's blood ran cold. "You don't want to do this," he said, voice shaking. The boy glared. "You don't know me." But Daniel did. He knew the look. The hunger. The desperation. "What's your name?" Daniel asked. "Marcus," the boy spat. Daniel nearly slammed the brakes. "Marcus Hale." The boy's eyes widened. Daniel's heart dropped. This was Marcus's son. The son nobody mentioned, maybe from another relationship, forgotten in the obituary. The boy pulled the gun halfway out. "You gonna stop me?" Daniel turned, tears in his eyes. "Listen to me. Your father, he didn't want this life for you. His last words were about your sister. About Emily. He wanted better for you both." The boy's hands trembled. "You're lying." Daniel shook his head. "I was there when he died. I heard him. And I've been helping Emily since then, because I couldn't save him. But I can try to save you." The car fell into silence, except for the hum of rain against the windshield. Marcus Jr.'s lip quivered. The gun lowered. And in that fragile moment, Daniel saw the cycle breaking, the shocking ending. Months later, a letter arrived at Daniel's small apartment. No return address. Just a folded piece of notebook paper. "I believe you. I'm leaving the streets. Emily's with me now. She knows about the groceries, the coats, everything. We don't know who you are, but we know what you've done. You saved us. Thank you. Marcus Jr." Daniel sat in silence, the weight of it all crushing and healing him at once. In a city where lives ended in alleys, where the American dream often turned into dust, one immigrant who had nothing had saved a family from losing everything. The story spread quietly, whispered through neighbors, through Emily's school, through church pews. People spoke of a mysterious man who gave when he had nothing to give. And when Daniel finally walked into the church one Sunday, people turned, stared, and began to clap. Emily ran down the aisle, hugging him tight. And in that moment, Daniel realized he hadn't come to America for gold-paved streets. He had come for this. A story that would end not in tragedy, but in redemption. And this ending shocked everyone.